Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Again, with you, Omar from Brownsburg Motorsports. Today we have a 2009 Volkswagen GTI, and we're going to be showing you the step-by-step on how to remove and replace the front wheel bearing. Customer stated having some ABS light, traction light, and whatnot. Upon driving the car, we noticed a growling noise coming from the front end of the vehicle. So we're going to go ahead and replace the wheel bearing on this, and let's go ahead and jump straight to it. All right, so here we are on the front driver side. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and remove the caliper. I'm gonna remove the caliper assembly together. So the caliper and the caliper bracket, I'm gonna move them together, remove them together, and hang them up on the spring on top. So I'm gonna bring my camera out back here so you guys could see where we're gonna be working at and which bolts we're looking at. This is where we're gonna be working for the most right now. So let me grab my tools and I'm gonna show you how to remove these two bolts, to remove the entire caliper and caliper bracket, and then I'm gonna show you how to remove the bolts on the wheel bearing. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we'll go from there. All right, first thing first, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my 21 millimeter bolts. 21 millimeter sockets, and I'm gonna go ahead and start loosening this. All right, those two are loosened. We'll remove this out so it doesn't cause any vibration. Here we go. Perfect. And what you want to prepare is your caliper S-hook. I'm gonna put it there for now. Now I know some of you would say this connector is supposed to be for the brake pad wear sensor. That is correct. This is how I got the vehicle from my customer. It seems like the connector was snapped up top over here. I'm gonna make sure you guys could see everything. Might raise it up a little bit. There we go. That's what I was talking about. The connector was snapped right there. All right. I'll remove the first bolt. They were fairly loose, to be honest. I mean, I don't think I've ever touched a car where the brakes were this loose. At least the caliper brackets bolts were loose. But I'm gonna go over everything for the sake of my customer once we are done. All right, now we can go ahead and try and remove the caliper. To be able to do that though, you might want to grab a flathead. What you want to do is you're gonna put the flathead between the caliper and the rotor. So like on the side here, see that? Just right there. And you're gonna pry a little bit, and the reason why we do that is just to release the pads, release the piston a little bit, so you can actually remove. There we go. See how I just pushed it? Perfect. And just like that, our complete caliper assembly is removed. I'm gonna go ahead and hang it up top here, so it's out of our way. And just to show you guys, that's why I put our caliper right there, just to get it out of the way. And now we're gonna remove the rotor. Now to remove the rotor is, I don't think it's held on with any bolts on the front. Well, it is supposed to be held on with a bolt on the front, but it looks like somebody has been here before. So this is what I'm talking about. It's supposed to be either either a torque bit, 30 millimeter, 30 mil torque bit. So this is what I'm talking about. This is the socket I'm talking about. T30. That's the socket I'm talking about. If it's not a T30, then it could be a 5. This is a 6, either a 5 or a 6 hex bit, and this is what I'm talking about. If it is, whether it's a 5 hex bit or 6 hex bit, I'm gonna do the other side, and if I do find that the other bolt on the other side is intact, I will show you how that's done. Let me take a quick look. Yep, the bolt is missing on the other side as well. So unfortunately, I will not be able to show you how to do this, but I'm gonna tell you how to do it. Whether it's a T30, excuse me, whether it's a T30 or a hex bit 5 mil or 6 mil, what you want to do is you want to bring your socket, you're going to sit it right there, and you're going to bring a small hammer, like that, and you're going to tap it slowly, slowly. And we do that to break the rust that's inside. And after doing that, get some PB Blaster, WD-40, spray it on there, let it soak for a couple minutes, and then tap it again. After you tap it for the second time, you're gonna grab the socket. You're gonna put the socket on your ratchet, obviously. You're gonna set it in there, and in a swift move, you're gonna try and surprise it. And by that I mean do this. So like, you know, while it's in there, we do that just to break the rust and extract it properly. If you couldn't do that, if that did not work, then your best option is to use a impact gun, whether it's a quarter inch drive bit with the right socket on it, or an actual 3/8 or a 1/2 inch with the appropriate socket on it. Just make sure it's steady and you're pushing as much as you could, so that way it does not strip the bolts. Other than that, that's about the only way I can tell you about this. If you still couldn't understand the procedure I just explained, what I would recommend, check one of my videos on brakes. Almost on any BMW you're gonna find on my channel, all of them have a 5 millimeter hex bit bolt, and so like something that looks like that. All BMW have that bolt to hold the rotors. So yeah, watch one of those videos and you should be good. Now I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and let's see. Yeah, you see how much play in the bearing is. All right. Anyway, now we're gonna move on to the next step. We're gonna get the rotor out, and if your rotor is stuck with rust, you're gonna grab your hammer and you're gonna tap it here and there, and we do that so that way we don't ruin the rotor. So make sure you don't hit it on the surface here or on the back surface. All right. All right, so after a lot of beating on that rotor, I was able to extract it or take it out. That bolt was seized in there. Uh, I have really no idea whoever did this job last time messed us up royally. But we're gonna move on to removing the bolt that holds the axle. It's a 27 millimeter bolt. I'm gonna have my impact and my sockets. All right, make sure it's not leaking anything at this moment. Perfect. I'm gonna put that bolt on the side. And what we're gonna do, actually, before we do that, let me screw it back in a little bit. Get like 5-6 threads in there. Okay, it moves. I just want to make sure it's not seized. See what I did there? I just used the bolt to push on the axle, just to make sure that the axle is loose. Perfect. All right, now I'm just gonna go back over there, and I'm just gonna pull on the rotor to the back, and I'll go ahead and spin this, get the camera in a better angle, and I'll show you what we're gonna do next. All right, so we have our caliper out, our rotor is out. Seems that somebody tried to remove the rotors and pads. Somebody tried to remove the wheel bearing on this and messed up that bolt. So if you go back to the beginning of the video, when we had the first shot over here, you'll see that this bolt was a little bit loose. The size for these bolts is M12. It's a triple square socket. That's what a triple square looks like. You can pick this up at your local parts store. I'll also drop a link in the description below for one of these kits that you're gonna only need with Volkswagen, Porsches, and Audis. All right, yeah, somebody messed up this bolt. Okay, this is the kind of stuff you deal with at a service facility, and some people try to save some money, but then they can't extract a bolt or they mess up a thread. That's exactly what happens. So I'm gonna show you how to remove the rest. Obviously this is not something you're gonna come across on your car, but I'll extract this. I'm not gonna show you how I'm gonna extract this, but I'm gonna show you how to remove the other bolts. Basically what you saw earlier in the previous clip, I pushed the CV axle far in, so you see the gap over there, and I'm just gonna go over these bolts one by one. They are supposed to be a little bit tighter, which confirms that somebody definitely has been here. That's what the bolts look like. See the triple square? All right, so I went ahead and turned the wheel so we can extract the rest of the bolts. Let me make sure you guys could see that. And I went ahead and hammered this in there just to make sure that the socket is fully in. These triple square socket can get cross-threaded very easily. The head can be messed up very easily. So I made sure to tap it with a hammer. And now I'm gonna grab my ratchet. There we go. All right. And this is exactly the reason why I hammered it in there, just to make sure that my socket does not slip and mess up the teeth. Now this is how the bolt's supposed to come out like. Not as easy as the one we just removed on the other side. If you guys remember the previous clip when I removed the other side, or the bolt on the other side of the bearing, it was not as hard as this one. This is what you should expect. Like I said, just make sure your socket is fully in, so you can put a extension on it and tap it in properly. Make sure it's all the way in before you start trying to remove it, because if it is not in properly, it's definitely gonna mess up the teeth on the head. And the new bearing kits came with a new bolts, so we're definitely not gonna reuse these. All right, the last one is this one right here. And I'm gonna do the same thing. First of all, let me see if I can. I don't think I can push this axle any further, but I'm gonna make sure my socket is in there. And I'm gonna grab my hammer. Make sure it's in there properly. I'm gonna grab my ratchet, and it would not hurt to spray some WD-40 on these, so I'm gonna go ahead and spray some WD-40 on the ones on this side here, on the passenger side, as well as the one that was seized, or the head was messed up, the teeth on the head was messed up. I'm gonna spray some from this side here. PB Blaster honestly is my favorite when it comes to rust. Okay, now let's. There we go. As long as it starts moving, do not go on it with the force of God. Apply a lot of force, but steadily. Don't yank it. So like I said, the M12 socket, triple square, the extension, 3/8 extension, and then a long ratchet for higher torque. And definitely not a power tool with these triple square sockets. All right. What I will end up doing, I might just end up extracting the bearing and cutting it from the other side, just because the bolt on the first bolt we tried to attempt to remove was the teeth were messed up. But technically speaking, you have 4 bolts, 2 on the bottom, 2 on the top. You do the same exact procedure that I just did. Make sure your triple square socket is all the way in. With the extension, tap it with a 1-pound hammer or a small hammer to make sure the socket is all the way inserted in the socket is all the way inserted inside in the bolt, and then slowly with a steady force, use your 3/8 ratchet and extract them. If your bolts are seized, what you can do, spray PB Blaster. If you have a torch, come to this side over here and heat up the bolts from the side. So you can heat up this right here with a torch, that right there in the bottom, and then this side here. You guys can see that? Yeah, that there and the top, just so you can get easier extraction. But I'm gonna go ahead and extract the last one, and I'm gonna show you what we're gonna do next. All right, so as you see, I was able to finally extract this last bolt here. Took a lot of beating on it with a socket to get the socket in place, and then I was able to take it out. So the next step is, this is gonna be, I'm not gonna say the fun part, but this is gonna be the last piece, the last thing we do to extract the wheel bearing. The axle is pushed back, all the 4 bolts are removed. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my hammer, and I'm gonna hammer it from this side. And that right there is the hub. It's not supposed to come out like that, but it came out like this because of how messed up it is. Like it's seized to a point that the hub came off the bearing. So do not be alarmed if yours come out like this as well. I'm gonna go ahead now and show you how we're gonna extract the bearing itself. Let's move on to the next step. Okay, so as you saw in the previous clip, the hub came off without the bearing, or half the hub stayed. It's supposed to be a full assembly. This is literally the worst case scenario. If yours is in a good shape, and by that I mean not all the bolts are loose, not the bolts are not, you know, cross-threaded or whatever. When you tap it from this side, what I usually do with the hub on there, I would tap it a little bit from here, I would tap it a little bit from here, a little bit from the top, a little bit from the bottom, in the outer direction. And that will extract the entire bearing assembly. In this scenario, as you saw, the hub came out by itself. So what I did to get the hub to move a little bit, I put the bolt on the back here. I don't know if you guys could see that. And then as you saw, you see the crack over there starting to come out. And all right, as you see, I put the bolt back here, and I'm gonna grab my hammer, and I'm gonna hammer it steadily. Be very careful. You do not want to you do not want to hit the CV axle. All right, it's coming out. Perfect. Slowly but steadily. Okay, I'm gonna keep doing this back and forth, back and forth. I might do it on the top a little bit as well, just to see if I can get any movement. Okay, bearing is coming out. I am gonna need my socket though. Need my socket to get that bolt out. I mean, I didn't thread it on there. I didn't thread it all the way, but I'm just gonna make sure I don't ruin the thread, or I don't ruin the teeth on there. And I will tell you right now, do not use the socket on the bolt and hammer, because the socket would not stand. Just trying to extract that bolt that I just put. There we go. There we go. Perfect. As you saw, I only threaded like 2 or 3 threads. That's it. And you can see where the thread got messed up a little bit. And that's, you know, that's obviously expected, especially with the condition the car is in right now. Again, this is the worst case scenario, and I'm kind of glad it happened on camera. So that way, any of you guys out there who is dealing with a very rusted car, this is honestly expected. If your car is, like I said, if your car is well kept and in good shape, the chances this is going to happen to you is very unlikely. And now I'm going to bring my pry bar. I'm going to hammer it in there, just to kind of make room, or basically enlarge the gap between the spindle. Make sure you guys could see right there. If this doesn't fit, I will use a flathead, maybe a little bit of a thicker flathead, something like this. That's perfect. And as you see, I'm using a 1 pound, because the goal is perfect. The gap is enlarging. That's good. The goal is to push it. Let me make sure you guys can see it. Maybe from this angle is better. The goal is to push the bearing out. Any second now. Okay. A little bit here. This is rusted beyond my imagination. And voila. Bearing is out. Okay, so with the wheel bearing removed, now comes the Not the best part, but this is a part a lot of people miss. This is definitely a part you want to do. What we're going to do is we're going to clean this hub, or we're going to clean the spindle. So I'm going to bring my brake clean. Let me bring my, so it drips on the cardboard. We're going to try and clean up as much as possible with the brake clean. And it doesn't end there, by the way. We still have to, we're going to bring a wire brush. We're going to try and get the inside of these. All right. Like I said, this is very, very important. A lot of people unfortunately miss this step. I'm gonna have another wire brush on my drill, and I'm gonna try and see. I don't think I'll be able to get in there, especially with the axle in my way. Let's see if I spin it. Okay, that's not gonna turn. All right, so let me use this on whatever I can. Let me use the surface. Okay. Now what we can use is, you can use a flathead and try to get that rust in there. It is really important to get all of that rust so that your new bearing does not seize. That's one. And two, you'll be able to install it properly without having to hammer it on there. The new wheel bearing is supposed to sit by itself. You should be able to push it in with your hands without having to hammer it in the spindle. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this up as much as I could, and then I'll show you what we're gonna do next. All right, so I got my new wheel bearing in here. This is what I meant earlier by wheel bearing and hub assembly. This is how it comes. That's the hub that fell off by itself. You're supposed to, when you hammer it, best case scenario, when you hammer it from the side, you hammer it from the other side, the entire thing comes out together one piece. Now I went ahead and added some grease on the sides. Make sure you do not add any grease on the back, because the wheel speed sensor reads off of the magnet ring that's in the back right here. So now we're gonna go ahead and try and put this in properly. Make sure your axle is lined up, and we're gonna see if we can get it in. Okay, I think that's a success. I just have to, there we go. Okay, axle is in, and it looks like everything is aligned. I might have to spin this a little bit, but I'll show you how we're gonna do that. Usually, do not be afraid. I'm just gonna tap it a little bit just to get it to move. There we go, that's it. Just so I can see that the hole for the thread and for the one on the spindle for the bolts are aligned. So now that our hub is in there, what we're gonna do, you're gonna grab your new bolts, and they come preload with the thread lock on them. I will share the part number in the description below. Now we might have to push the axle back so we can actually get the bolts in, but I just want to make sure that the part fits properly. I'm gonna start threading this with my hand. Let me get you guys from the back to see. Yep, that's how we know that it's aligned. And then we have bottom one. What you want to do is definitely start all of these with your hands before you move on to the power tool. All right, so we are on the other side now. I'm gonna start threading this with my hands. Like I said, you definitely want to start these with your hand. You do not want to start with the power tool directly. There we go. Perfect. Now what do? Now we're gonna grab our sockets and we are gonna go one at a time, and we're not gonna tighten them like fully. Okay, now these new ones are not uh, they are not triple square. They're actually torque bits. And let me see what size they are. They are not 55, so I'm guessing they are 60 maybe. Should have double check. Let me take it out. If it is 60, we're gonna have to remove the axle because the socket is very thick. Let me see. Yep, unfortunately it is 60. So let me see what we can do here. If we have to remove the axle, it's gonna increase the labor for our customer, and we do not want that. So let me see if I can thread this in as much as I could. See if we can. Okay, perfect. Okay, I was able to pull the axle out. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go ahead and bring my socket from the top here with my, I don't think I need an extension. I might use an extension. I'm gonna bring my 1/2 inch. Everything when it turns up to a bigger size is definitely takes more space. So, okay, make sure you guys could see that. Perfect. Yeah, I just pushed the axle to the back a little bit. And like I said, what you want to do, you do not want to tighten this fully. You just want to make contact between the bolt and the spindle. And the moment you start seeing it pulling the hub and bearing on that side, you're just going to stop and you're going to move on to the next one. All right, see if I can. Just so that it sits evenly. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the other side. I don't think I need to turn the spindle since the axle is not in the way anymore. Again, I'm not tightening this fully. I might be able to get it from the side actually. It's a torque bit 60. This is Schaeffler brand. It's I'm pretty sure it's a European brand. I've used it a lot before. Honestly, they have really good bearing kits that comes with all new bolts and everything. As you saw, I already had thread lock on it. All right, so this is the last bolt. And since this is the last bolt, we can go ahead and tighten this fully. There we go. All right, that's one. Let me go to the top now. Perfect. And now the, make sure. Now this one here. There we go. Okay. And last but not least is the top one here. And it would not hurt to go over them one more time. You're not gonna tighten them, you're just gonna make sure they are tight. Perfect. That one is good. This one is good. And the last one right there, it's also good. All right, making sure you guys can still see all of that. Perfect. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you how I pushed my axle earlier. Just gonna turn it. Okay. Almost there. It is a little bit of a pain to get these in. It wouldn't hurt to snack it a little bit. There we go. There we go. Now we just turn the, okay, and just like that. Perfect. All right, now I can go ahead and turn the steering wheel from this side here, align it properly, and voila. Our new wheel bearing is on there properly. You can see all the bolts in there. You can see how it's flushed on this side and how it's flushed on the other side as well. There is no gaps, nothing. All the bolts are tightened properly. So the next step is we're going to go ahead and put the rotor back. So let me go ahead and grab my rotor. All right. This is the rotor that was on there. Okay. What I usually do is I have the spool over here. It's like a socket, or acts like a socket. And since we are missing that bolt and the rotor is messed up, I'm gonna go ahead and hold this just like that, just so that the rotor stays there. Now we grab the socket for the CV axle. Not the socket, sorry, the impact, not the impact, the bolt for the CV axle. This is the new one. This comes as a new size. I believe this is a 27, but it's a 12 teeth 27, which I happen to have a socket for this. I don't know why Audi and Volkswagen are hell-bent on using these sockets that almost nobody has at home or even in a local auto parts store. But yeah, it's a 24 millimeter actually. That's the socket. That's what it looks like. 12 teeth, 24 millimeter. I'm gonna go ahead and start this with my hands. You always, any bolt you're replacing, you always want to start it with your hand to make sure it goes in there, is going in there smoothly. All right, perfect. I'm gonna grab my impact now. And that's in there. It comes with thread lock on it, so you really don't have to add any more thread lock. I will share the part number or the link in the description below for these parts. You can grab it from Amazon. There's a lot of websites that sells auto parts like FCP Euro, ECS Tuning. I'm not sponsored by any of them, but they sell really good parts. They have great warranty. So I'll drop the link in the description below, and in that link you'll find the part number. Might be listing from Amazon. So let's go ahead now and well, we have to install the caliper first. So let me keep this socket in there. Let me keep this bolt in there just to hold the rotor in place while we slide the caliper back on. Okay. Perfect. All right, now we have to have the bolts for that ready. They were pretty sure they were 21 millimeter, if I remember correctly. 21. Yep, they were 21 millimeter bolts that holds the caliper. So I'm gonna bring my camera from the back here so you can see how I'm gonna slip the caliper back on. And I have my sockets and my bolts right here. All right. Perfect. Like I was saying earlier, you always want to start tightening with your hands to make sure it's aligned properly with the bolt. There we go. Get that one started. Let me start the bottom one. All right. I'm gonna drive this in with my hands again, a little bit more. The more you drive it in with your fingers, the less the chances of it getting cross-threaded, honestly. I believe in that. All right, now I'm gonna grab my ratchet. I have my 1/2 inch with a 21 millimeter deep socket on there that I'm gonna use to drive this home. Same thing, I do not tighten anything like fully until both bolts are fully making contact with the surface. Okay. If you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment section below, or you can reach me on my TikTok or Instagram, both links on the description as well. If you have any question or had any issues extracting your wheel bearings or not finding the right part for your car, you can always reach out to me. I will be more than happy to assist to the best I can. There we go. All right. So these two are now fully tightened. So just to summarize, first thing we did, we removed the wheels off, obviously. Second step was we removed the caliper bracket with the caliper and the pads, the entire assembly. We had to push the piston on the caliper a little bit with a flat head, and we did that so that way we can have room extracting the caliper. And just to summarize how I did that, you bring your flathead, put it between the rotor and the caliper, you put it in there, and then you just pull. And when you pull, the pressure would retract the piston in, so that way you have some play. And after we did that, I went ahead and used my S caliper hook. I've been using this for like years now. Hook it up on the spring right there, hook it up here, and it stays out of your way. I'll drop the link in the description below for these. Once that's done, we remove the rotor. Best case scenario for a rotor, you have your actual bolts, your proper bolts right there. In our scenario, whoever touched this car last time really messed it up big time. But what you do is, it's either going to be a T30 torque bit or a 5mm hex bit. You can heat it up, you can spray some WD-40 on it or PB Blaster. I always recommend PB Blaster, it's my favorite. And once that's done, you bring the socket on there either with an impact driver or you sneak up on it. And by sneak up on it, you just go in a swift move to try and unlock it. So you can tap it a little bit there with a socket on and a hammer to extract the rust. And once you remove this bolt over here, you remove the rotor by hammering it here and there. Definitely not the surface of the rotor, front or back. The only spot where you can hit it would be here. Not, you know, gorilla power, but just a little bit. Once that's done, you remove the 27mm bolt that's holding the original bolt that was holding the axle. That's where this is. You remove that bolt, and before you remove it completely, you push it in to try and see if the axle would move. Your axle might be seized. If it is, spray some WD-40 in there, let it sit for a little bit, and then push it again with the bolt installed. Once the axle is pushed a little bit, remove the axle bolt. Then you have the 4 bolts on the back. The original ones are this. Original ones are these. This is what the original one looks like. It's a triple square socket, and you have 2 there, 1 there, 1 there, and then 1 there, and 1 on the other side. So 4 total. Make sure your axle is pushed back a little bit so you can actually access them. If your socket is not fitted on there properly, put an extension on the socket and tap it in properly to make sure it's in all the way. And once that's done, you have 2 options. Actually, yeah, 2 options. Best case scenario, you tap the hub from the side, like I showed in the previous clips, and it comes off the entire assembly. If the entire assembly does not come off, then what you're left with is the hub coming off and the bearing staying on there. If that happened to you, just like it happened to me, you put one of the bolts on the back, you hammer it from the back while it's threaded, not halfway. You just need like 3 or 4 threads. So just put the bolts back, thread it in like 2 or 3 threads, and then hammer the actual bolt. When you do that, it will pitch the bearing out. And I just kept moving the bolt from one position to the other while tapping it until I had the bearing completely out. After that, I put a flathead in there, hammered it to extract the bearing. Make sure you clean up everything. Make sure you grease up everything properly. I actually forgot to add some grease over here, so I'm going to go ahead and remove this rotor and add up some grease before before I wrap this up. But make sure you grease up the hub surface. Make sure you grease up the sides of the bearing, not the back of it, where the ring or the magnetic ring is at, because that's where the wheel speed sensor reads off of. This sums up, honestly, the video for today, everyone. Whether you're doing the front driver or the front passenger, the procedure is the same. If you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them in the comment section below. If you like my content, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and like always, make sure you like and follow for more.